Mudhole Marsh is an interesting level, despite bringing almost nothing new to the table. It takes elements of Barrel Bayou and Crockhead Clamber, as well as items and enemies from various other levels, and remixes them into something new. In that way, it's this game's answer to something like Rope Bridge Rumble, and it's a somber but suitable send-off for the swamp levels. Say that 3 times fast. This is part 24 of Overthinking Donkey Kong Country 2. The only new gameplay addition here is the Cat-O'-Nine-Tails, a unique and arguably the weirdest enemy in the roster. I love him for what he is, but he feels like a guest character or something, and I can't help but feel he'd almost fit in better in DKC3. He's a strange cat. Pun absolutely intended. Fuck you. He spins across the ground, fixing to slap you in the face with his whip-like tails. If you try and stomp him, he catches you, spins you around, and launches you up in the air. Often not a big deal, but sometimes can be enough to do you in. I don't think he's the focal point of the level though. If you look at the big picture, you can see that despite the diverse cast of enemies, the first half of the level is dominated by mini neckies, and the second half of the level is mostly about traversing the bog, and is largely dominated by cannon. And while the first half features hooks, the second switches them out for reeds. Flitters, zingers, click-clacks, and Cat-O'-Nine-Tails are present from start to finish, as well as both red and green crockheads. And finally, the Cat-O'-Nine-Tails doesn't factor into traversal or anything like that. He's just kind of there. While this level might lack focus, it makes up for it by just throwing a lot at the player. In a way, it almost serves as a sort of midpoint exam. And if you factor in the Lost World, Mudhole Marsh is the very middle point of the game. To riff on that a little longer, we've got the hooks and insects from Gangplank Galleon, the cannons, crockheads, and mini neckies from Crocodile Cauldron, the reeds, platforms, bayou, and barrel bridges from Creme Key, cannons, chests, crates, invincibility barrels. This level pulls elements from all over the first 3 worlds and mixes them together in a way we've never seen before. One that's more challenging than most of the previous levels. So while it might be a sort of midpoint exam, it could also be a refresher course, getting the player up to speed with a bunch of mechanics and skills that might be a little rusty. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but I really dig the visuals in this level. Barrel Bayou's greens and blacks. Crockhead Clamber is much warmer, but less vibrant, with a rusty red background and yellow-green algae. Mudhole Marsh has a colder palette, with purple in the background, a more blue-green platform, and murkier water. Even the enemies contribute to the palette, with a lot of flitters, Cat-O'-Nine-Tails, and click-clacks at first. I think it's fair to say this swamp area is connected to Creme Key. If you look at the map, it seems to be an isolated patch of water, but if you look at the level itself, it's full of these dam-type things. I think the swamp water started to spill into this part of the island, likely during a flood, and this level is all that's left after a frantic and ad hoc dam job. That stagnation could explain the bug presence too. This is a bad note to end on. Part 24 is done. We're halfway through the levels, but not halfway through the series. There's still so much we haven't seen yet, and I cannot wait to get stuck into the later worlds. As fun as the early stages might be, this game never runs out of good ideas. Unlike me. Okay, I'm done.